Okay, this is an example of how to set up blood glucose charting for insulin that is given based on a sliding scale. The first thing that you do is you go to the client master and to the client library. The next thing that you do is you go add that service from the company library, just the vanilla service. So I go find here, I can see that I'm in the medications now, and there's the blood glucose, and I am going to, I have to pull down a little bit more so I can see the button, approve that service. So now I'm going to see blood glucose right here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edit that to reflect that we are going to ask for the user to determine how many units of insulin should be given. I have a little example here so you don't have to watch me type, but I am just going to put this information here. And I'm going to replace just the vanilla instructions with the instructions from the healthcare provider. All right. And so if do not give the insulin, if it's less than 140, do check again in 15 minutes if it is over 350 and call the provider. Okay. So next, we're going to come down here and we're going to edit this revise this blood glucose task. And I'm going to say that here we have a high measure and a low measure. All right. I'm going to say the high measure is 1 and the low measure is 0. If the instructions had said if it's below like 90, give carbohydrates, I would have said, you know, if it's above 91, show me everything about giving the insulin. If it's below 90, do not give the insulin and give carbohydrates. However, that's not the way this example is written. So I'm just going to make a 0 and a 1 out of this. And I am going to go back to my example. And this is what the provider indicates. So I'm going to copy that. The details aren't really important. It's just that you know that this information can be displayed to the user as they chart. Okay. Then I am going to save this revision. Next, I am going to add a new service that's going to require a count. And it's going to say if insulin is to be given number of units. Maybe that's a number of units to be given. That could be 0 through, I think it was 10. Okay. And that's going to be a required task. And that required is important. It makes charting pretty foolproof here. Okay. So I am going to save this task. We don't need any more instructions here. We've got everything we need up in the blood glucose, but you could put more instructions. So I'm going to save it. Okay, so both these require a count measure. This blood glucose has got the sliding scale that's going to be displayed, and I'm going to update that service. Now, another thought would be if this is going to be for the Humalog, okay, I could have changed that service name very easily. Instead of saying blood glucose, I could have said Humalog blood glucose. Okay, and if it's blood glucose prior to meals, I'm just going to say meals. This helps indicate, especially if somebody's taken several kinds of insulin, this will help us identify which is which. So I'm going to update this. So now it's called Humalog blood glucose. All right, now I'm going to go to the medications. And I'm going to add that Humalog into our client's master records. Okay, all right now he's only got plain M&Ms. No wonder he needs Humalog. Okay, so I am going to go back here, and this is going to be a Humalog quick pen. So I'm going to copy it. So you don't have to watch me type, because paste. And it's for diabetes. And the instructions that the provider gave, pretty minimal. You could elaborate on that with more cautions, like check again, etc. All right, and enter units, notes, and this is important. The note is required because we have, the user's got to tell us how many units they injected. So let's say breakfast is at 8, lunch is at noon, and dinner is at 6. So I'm going to enter that in here. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this medication screen into a medical service screen. And I'm going to schedule my Humalog blood glucose for meals. I'm going to make it a both just in case it's over 350 and I have to check again in 15 minutes. I would need a PRN of that. So it's going to be a both. Humalog blood glucose, and then just to be safe, what I would do is I would say 7:59 a.m. 11:59 a.m. So it's just, we know for sure it's going to be just prior to the Humalog itself. And then I'm going to say 5:59 p.m. Okay, and I'm going to insert the record. Oops, and I did make it. Well, you know what? I'm going to go to the charting page. I didn't chart it. I didn't set it up for the whole day today. So we're going to look at tomorrow to see what we're going to get. So this is what they would see. Here's the Humalog blood glucose with meals set for 7:59 a.m. The user would test. Let's say they came up to 160, and they will not click save. And well, they could, because this is a required in it. This field, the number of units is required, and if they accidentally hit this, it's not going to go away on them. So now I'm seeing that 160, they should give one additional unit. So now they can put in their 1, and when they click save and close, they will have that charting saved correctly. So if I look at this charting again, I can see that it was 160 and they're planning to give 1 dose, 1 unit of insulin. Then when they chart on the insulin itself, and if they tried to save that insulin record, they're going to get, it's not going to save, because a note should not be blank. They're going to say 1 unit. And then when they click save, they're going to have a notification that it was saved successfully. So now when they run a medical service report, it's going to be very easy for you to see how many units, what their blood sugar was, and how many units were planned on being injected. Oops, let's see, I made a mistake here because it's tomorrow. Let's try that again. Medical service, and I have to go through the 14th because I charted in the future. I predicted the future. There. Now we're going to get charted. No, we're not. What did I do wrong? It doesn't like it that I did it in the future. That's all. So tomorrow I would get that. I shouldn't have been charting these things in the future. But that's how you set it up. So you're going to get a report that's going to show all of the blood sugars and all of the planned injections. And then when I ran an EMR report, I will see all of the charting, and I will see how many were recorded as being given. So if I go to this one, here I can see that 1 unit Here was the 1 unit. That's what I charted, 1 unit, and I can see that it was charted on the 14th or for the 14th. Okay, not the best example, but I think you understand how it works. Okay, so, and that the check was done by MM at 7:59 AM too. So that's how it's done. And there's a lot of variations to that, but I hope this helps you do your own.